Hello and welcome to All About Billings. We are a show dedicated to discovering the people that make Billings a great place to work and live. We will interview business people, entrepreneurs, community leaders, artists, entertainers, and just cool people around town and find out all about what they love about Billings, how they've succeeded in life, and the things that have held them back. I'm your host, Nancy Brook, broker and owner at Billings Best Real Estate. And today I am honored to have as my guest Akvilina Rieger. Now, she is originally from Lithuania, and Akvilina likes to joke that Montana adopted her. She is the founder of United Nations of Billings, and this is a group of international residents who live in our city. She is also an ambassador for the Billings Chamber of Commerce, and she's involved in a ton of community activities and organizations. So help me welcome to our show, Akvilina Rieger. Welcome.
Thank you.
Well, it's so fun to have you here. We've had a chance to visit a little bit before the show started. And I want to just start with talking a little bit about your background in Lithuania. I bet a lot of people in Billings have never been to Lithuania. So what was it like growing up there?
Love Lithuania. It's if I wouldn't be so in love with Montana, I wouldn't love Montana as much. I would still probably live there. Really beautiful country in the center of Europe, so it's really easy access to all of the other countries. Mm-hmm. Very rich in history, lots of beautiful architecture, culture. I believe, don't quote me on that one, but I believe we even beat Paris a few years ago for the Europe Center of Culture or something.
Really?
Yeah, so
wow.
We're kind of all into all that kind of a stuff. When I was growing up, it was part of Soviet Union, so times were completely different. And that was a little bit of a trigger of what brought me to United States, because I was around 14 or so when the Soviet Union fell apart. We lived in completely different social, political settings, so there was no business. Huh? It was all government owned. So I decided that I wanted to pursue international business when we became independent, but we were such a young country, and all that information about free economy or anything that was forbidden back in Soviet times. So we never experienced it. So within a couple of years of me going to the university to study international business, I was offered scholarship to MSU Bozeman. Never even applied for it. I think our university was being proactive and trying to send us to other countries to just experience how capitalism actually looked in the real life. So I was offered, scholarship, had some 15 minutes to decide, because apparently
they'd go on to the next
thousands of other people would have wanted to go. So
wow.
I'm kind of adventurous soul that way, so I said yes, and it's been 26 years that I'm in Billings. Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about what was it like before and after. I mean, was it like a dramatic change for you before?
Yes.
Because I don't know that I've ever talked to anyone who's, from a communist country, and then all of a sudden when everything fell apart, it must have been just like, the world is turned upside down, right?
Exactly, yes. And I think for me being younger, it wasn't as drastic till I'm realizing it now, but it was so overwhelming because it was such a strict lifestyle before. Government was very involved, very controlling in everything, to just flipping. And then for a while we were a brand new country, so really government was just forming. Everything was just, people were trying to figure out how we're going to live from here on, because the life how they knew it ended overnight,
right.
Basically.
Well,
yes.
you had government controlled business, all of a sudden that's all gone.
Yep. So,
and then what? And
not even example to know how to run one or go to school for it, and so it was interesting, because we were so blocked from the rest of the world that
right.
you couldn't travel easily, you couldn't do anything. So
wow.
Yeah.
So that must have been just like a real, I mean, fun awakening though too, because all of a sudden you realized what was possible where before it seemed like
Yes.
everything was restrictive.
Yes. So it felt, I quote that quite often, but it felt like Wild West.
Ah,
Like in the movies here, when you see people, came to America, for example, and it's just free for all, That's how it felt a little bit, especially to young people, because it was like, I could be whatever I want, any business
wow.
is an opportunity because we didn't have any, and so it was very interesting times. When I look back now, I was really still fairly young, maybe 13, 14.
Right.
Yet when I look back now, it felt like I think we were so mature because we lived through that. Because it was of turmoil and the military came out, Soviet tanks were in the streets and stuff. So, it was brief but traumatic,
Probably scary.
Thankfully, it was really brief.
Right, but I mean, scary. Like, what
Yeah.
does this mean? What's happening? The wall's coming down.
Yep. And so just when I always would think of myself of when it happened, I would always thought I was like 20 or something, and I'm like, no, I wasn't, because I think it just
Right.
matures you just to
Right.
kind of live through that kind of experience. So.
And so you had this opportunity that just kind of fell in your lap to come to Montana
Mm-hmm.
to study international business. Well, you were studying international
Yes,
business and
back
come
home.
to
Yep.
Montana to
Mhm.
study business. So what inspired you to say yes? I mean, I know you said you're adventurous, but had you ever heard of Montana?
No.
Did you know what you were getting into?
No.
How are the winters there compared to here?
Fairly similar.
Okay.
Probably not as we're exactly on the other side of the world from
Okay.
here. So yeah, I had a brief stint in the United States before that. My dad, within a couple of years of the Soviet Union collapsing, he started a business and he realized that he needs somebody to help him with like translation and stuff, because Lithuania is such a small country. He wanted to work with that like import export from the other countries around. So I was always glued to him and I was always at his office trying to figure out how it all works. That's when I first got the taste of the business
Right.
world. And so he wanted me to learn English and or just kind of go and experience. So my very first experience was he sent me to high school in Tennessee, a tiny
okay.
little town.
Okay.
And coming from the Wild West that Lithuania was at that time, being 17, 18-year-old, I did not care for living in a small, kind of felt as restrictive, small community in Tennessee,
Sure.
even though it sounds so foolish now looking back. That it
Well,
was
small,
great
not
time.
much
Yeah,
going
when you're
on.
18, yeah.
Yeah.
And we were used to clubs in big city and dancing and fashion and all of that. So I was pretty happy to come back.
Right.
Even though it was a very nice experience. So I went to college then for a couple of years and was perfectly content living in Lithuania, but always been adventure. I think my go-to word is yes. So I was like, yeah, I'll go.
And so what was it like when you, so you had been in America, you spoke English, so that was good.
Some, it was very rude awakening when I came to Tennessee because
I know how that
when
goes.
I thought what I thought I spoke, no, I did not speak
Well, and then the
English,
other
so-
thing is there's different accents, right? And
Oh,
so,
yeah. Tennessee
so a
was
Tennessee
different.
accent
Mhm.
is really different than a Montana accent.
Exactly,
So
yep.
it can be hard
Mhm.
being a non-native speaker, kind of picking up
Yep.
those different,
Oh, yeah.
those
That was-
different accents too, I bet.
Or just what we learned back in Lithuania was the proper British English or
Oh,
whatever. So
sure.
yeah, so they were making fun of me that I spoke like a radio, like person. So yeah, and they were speaking way too fast compared to So it was interesting. But
So when you're in Montana, so you're having to take classes in English too. So
Mm-hmm.
that must have been, all in all, a little challenging. New country, new school, new language.
our school was so much harder that I had no problem.
Oh, wow.
It was actually interesting. It both high school and university courses were at a lot higher level. There's a process when you transfer your credits, for example, from foreign universities to, there's a company that reviews all the curriculum and changes. So I actually gained a third year of college when the university.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I just went for 2 years in Lithuania, but when they transferred the courses, I received a third year just because our courses were so much more
Wow.
advanced. So it felt easier.
Oh, well, that's good.
Plus, I was still studying business, and after being completely exposed in my family business being built from the ground and being really, translating in a lot of instances. So that kind of came natural, almost to the point that I felt like, oh, I have an example for every course that professors would be teaching.
And so what did you think of Montana?
It wasn't love at first sight.
Okay.
Can't even lie.
So tell us why.
I think it was because I was young and foolish, probably. I don't know. It was very small community. Bozeman was a lot smaller at that point. And like I said, I was used to a lot bigger spaces, very active. We didn't really have rules. And, that was kind of appealing to an 18-year-old in some ways, because we were still just getting established as a country. The government was new and all of that. So in some ways, Montana and U.S., contrary to what we believed, that, we thought America, it was this free country and people are free. You always kind of associate freedom in America. It kind of felt like I was so restricted. But that's how the 18-year-old brain works, I guess. I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And then how did it develop? Because obviously you're still here 26 years later.
So I was a Montana boy, I guess. I met in college. And so after deliberation, we decided that we will stay here because at least I knew some English and he would have had to learn the whole Lithuanian language. So we ended up staying here and moved to Billings for primarily his job to start with. And I think Billings people, that kind of won me over. And I can't even imagine living anywhere else now.
So what did you find out about the Billings people that you liked?
So I had this odd fear, I think, staying here about, I just always thought, I'm going to be spelling my name every day, all day long, and I'm going to have this accent. I'm not going to fit in. For some reason, I just had these odd fears. I don't know, that's just, I guess, where my mind went at that point. And I just kind of felt I was more established back home and I could have maybe pursued my career better there. And when I came here, Billings people were just so kind and everybody was always willing to help. And I never stood out like I was different or anything, which kind of leads me to some of what we were talking about, how nobody knows in Billings of what a diverse population we have.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
So,
I mean, because, I've lived here, I grew up in Laurel, lived in Billings, and I really don't think about Billings being a diverse community.
Exactly.
So you've experienced otherwise.
So that was just kind of a recent analysis, I guess, in my brain. I was like, why are we so different? I think it's because Billings people are so inclusive. And you just feel like you just became part of the family. So you don't have to go find because my first instinct was to find people that were like me, somebody that speaks Lithuanian. That was the beginning of the United Nations of Billings, because I kept trying to find somebody who spoke Lithuanian or who would understand me and stuff. And Billings people were that for me. And so I feel like when you move to Billings, you don't have to, kind of like you don't have to find or build your own Chinatown like in some big cities. You have each population maybe create their own little Italy and stuff. In Billings, you just become part of Billings. And that's how I felt. And I feel like there's so many of us that just adjusting really well, and I believe that's the community that is so welcoming.
Well, and so talk a little bit about the United Nations of Billings. I have also never heard of that before.
So it was actually a name that one of our husbands named us, because what happened initially is people will hear my accent in the grocery store or anywhere, and I'm not shy to talk, I guess.
Sure.
And so they would say like, oh, where are you from? Where's the accent from? And so we would visit, and then I would say like, oh, I'm from Lithuania. It would be so nice to meet some other Lithuanians. And they say, oh, I know another person with your same accent, you know, and next thing it's a person from South Africa or something, but all the accents were blurred for people.
Sure,
and so,
sure.
but we still had that in common. So we would get together and we'll do things and kind of would lean on each other because we had that commonality, even though we were from different countries. We're just establishing yourself in the new community with new culture and stuff. I speak Russian. So a few of the first members were the Russian-speaking ones that just kind of felt a little lost, and I felt like I'm already got my way around. So
Sure.
And so we would go out dancing. We'll get together and we'd cook our foods. We have this Christmas tradition of, I think it was like 21st year or 20th or 21st year last Christmas, when initially when the group was pretty small, we would bake cookies from our own country and then just hang out, and next thing group grew so big that we have to bake cookies at home now and exchange them bigger. And we just, that's just kind of what we all have in common. And we have people from, you know, Ukraine, Germany, Russia, Romania, Bulgaria, I mean, gosh, you name it, Mexico. It's just like all over.
And you wrote that there's, at one of your events, there were 460 attendees speaking over 60 languages?
So Billings Mayor Bill Cole
Yes.
had the idea a few years ago. This was the third event that we had this summer, when the dinner is called Mayor's World Languages Dinner. So we all collaborated together, the few of us from different countries, and helped him put together this event. And I think the first year was at the depot, and outgrew. We couldn't even invite everybody we wanted to, so moved to Northern Hotel next. It was like quite significantly larger space, and we're not able to invite everybody we wanted to. And so we're moving even to a larger this year we went to the Billings Hotel and Convention Center.
Wow.
Where we were able to accommodate like 460 or so
Wow.
people. And yeah, so we're all pretty connected. You know, we know at least of each other. And so it was fun putting together tables, because each table was, the concept is that each table is speaking one language.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a Russian table, Chinese table. So when you walk through the room, you're hearing all these different languages because we're all, you know, speaking that same language. So yeah, so there's all these languages, including all the native ones that are here.
Oh, sure.
So it's a beautiful, very colorful event. I can't wait to have a date set for May 2nd.
Okay.
For this year. And
So how are people finding out about this?
it's a small community. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell. Like,
It seems like you've just naturally attracted people, which is
I
amazing.
know those accents give us out. So then I don't know. I think that's what it is. And then it's like, okay, you know, have you heard of this or have you heard of that? And we just connect. We have like a Facebook group, private Facebook group,
Okay.
and so we share some of the information there. And yeah, then we have a Mayor's World Language Dinner Facebook group where people could get information. And
So how are these international residents ending up here? I mean, some people I imagine for school.
For
but
school,
What
for
else?
work.
What do you find people are brought here for?
School, work, I think probably school is and work maybe the biggest.
Okay.
To a lot of moving from another states, maybe, it could be family situation, children, marriages, spouses.
Okay.
You name it, I guess. Yeah.
So just all sorts of random
Yeah, like
reasons.
for example, the very first few of us that started our group, that, like I said, we would always hang out, but we all have our different languages. So one of the husbands started calling us United Nations of Billings, and it just kind of stuck. But like one of them opened the original Enzo's restaurant, was the French couple.
Oh yeah,
From Patricia and Laurent, and then had a friend from Russia, and from Ukraine, from just Germany, and so we were all. So each one, I think, one was opening business. One came here for college. I came here for college. A few ladies were here through marriage. Yeah, so a variety of different.
Well, and in addition to being involved in the United Nations of Billings and the mayor's dinner that you had, you do lots of other things in our community. And in fact, when we were talking before the program, you had mentioned a lot of people say, oh, there's nothing to do. And you're like, wow, I have so many things to do. I don't even know how I can do it all.
Yeah.
So how did you get so involved in the community? And tell us about some of the activities that you do.
I think initially it was just maybe unconsciously me saying thank you back to the community that was so kind to me, that as anywhere I could help out, I would help out. And we have all these wonderful nonprofits and stuff like that. I like so I serve on the board for the Chamber, Billings Chamber Diversity Group. So the ambassador is kind of a little bit of a spin-off. Well, it's within Big Sky ADA, but I think there's just so many people who really volunteer their time to make Billings better. It's, you kind of start knowing each other in some ways, but I think that's kind of where it all started.
Well,
Yeah,
and you're with the chamber. You're an ambassador for the chamber.
Yes.
You're involved in TEDx
Yes.
Billings. It sounds like you have other things that you're doing with dance. Plus, you have 2 children who are busy and active.
Yes,
You've got a lot of activities that you do.
Yeah, it's all self-inflicted, so I can't complain. But it's, I guess, I don't know, I feel like I'm not really any different than a lot of people that do the same in town, that you maybe will see in, a lot of similar places. It's like, oh, can we help with these guys? And it's like you just send a message and everybody gets connected up.
So you've just felt like giving back, or
I felt
volunteering
like,
as a way to give back to
yes.
the community.
And I feel like I actually, back thinking on it now, I don't even feel like I'm giving back. I feel like I get back as much too. And my daughters see that now, and I see them really enjoying that and kind of using that kind of a path in their own lives. It's like the younger one and I went and volunteered at the zoo for the Big Sky Senior Services. I kind of became close to the organization because they were the ones that put together a fundraiser for the Dancing with the Big Sky Stars that I was nominated to, and that dancing brought me so much joy that I feel like, okay, I could dedicate some time to give back to that cause too.
Well,
and then that's one thing we all have in common. We're all going to be seniors at some point, so might as well, if we're lucky. Yeah.
So when did you first start feeling at home when you were, because at first it sounds like you were feeling a little disconnected when you first came to Montana. When did you realize, hey, I like it here and I think I can make this home? Do you remember a moment?
When I started getting involved.
Okay, so it was getting involved with the community.
Yes. I figured I'm not just going to play victim or complain about something and without putting some effort. You know, we go ice skating sometimes with my daughters, and they have the sign says, if you don't like something, volunteer. So that's kind of, you know, for example, my recent endeavor, the dancing, just, I did not realize that I would have such a passion for dancing till this Dancing with the Stars. And so I wanted to continue dancing, but there was more options to do more of a country dancing when I'm more drawn to maybe ballroom dancing.
Sure.
Or like even Latin dancing. Would like to travel to those countries, like Latin countries, and so that is something that I just more dear to my heart. And there was no opportunity for it, so I reached out to some friends and we formed a group, and now we dance together.
So if you don't have it, you just create it.
Just create it. Yep.
That's your motto.
That's how I do it, yeah.
So what is your favorite thing about living in Billings?
People, probably
Okay.
number one. And yeah, it just seems everything else is, you know, I remember at some point my husband and I had this plan that we thought we will retire somewhere by the beach or something, because we're both like, you know, the water-related activities and stuff like that. And so we were always on this quest, go travel to all these islands and places to find where we would retire. And a few years ago, we review our dreams and plans every so often, and it was just this thought just for like, you know, Billings is always going to be home. You know, maybe we'll go somewhere temporarily or on some kind of seasonal basis, but and actually our daughters even feel that way for how much we travel. And they love traveling, but they kind of feel like it's nice to come back to Billings. The life is slow and cozy and comfortable here, and you know, that's your base then. So then you could travel and be in some turmoil or a big city with traffic and stuff, and then come back to our cozy little Billings lifestyle. So.
Wow. Well, it sounds like you've had quite the adventure in life.
I guess now that you put it that way.
Well,
I guess
if you think about where you came from, a Soviet country, to having, you know, just freedom break in, and then leaving on a whim, and ending up in Montana and staying here. I mean, I bet your younger self would have a hard time believing this was your life.
I actually wrote I don't know what was the inspiration. I was at the board meeting in Anaconda, Montana. And I was coming back, I was feeling all like almost poetic. And I was like, it's so odd sometimes. I would get this feeling of like deja vu. And it's like, well, that's kind of, and it just would come like quite often. And then I just realized it's not really that. I think it was seeing the first movies about America and how it was, because it was such a forbidden, faraway country that, you know, we just had these little glimpses. So I think sometimes when I drive these countrysides, it's like you just feel like in the movie, you know, like kind of, it's like, is this really my life? Yeah.
Well, it has been such a delight having you as my guest today. Thank you so much for sharing the United Nations of Billings with us. What a fascinating lady you are.
Thank you.
Well, and folks, it's been great having you here today on All About Billings, and we look forward to seeing you next time.